Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Oldham County Fiscal Court. I'm David Vogel, Judge Executive. Happy to have you here today for our meeting on August 3rd, 2021. I'd like to ask everybody who's able to please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Right, I'll ask our fiscal court clerk, Denise Clark, to please call the roll.
Magistrate Likens, Magistrate Tice, Magistrate Woosley, Magistrate Greenwell.
Here.
Magistrate Howns.
Here.
Magistrate Hawkins. Here. Magistrate Dye. Magistrate Logston. Judge Vogel.
Here. Having all members of the fiscal court present, this meeting is now in session. The motion to accept the agenda. All right. I'm going to ask that one item be added and one item be eliminated, and that would be under contracts and resolutions. The jail health services agreement with Southern Health Partners. A couple of questions have come up under exactly what circumstance Southern Health Partners is willing to accept prisoners into the jail who may come with some prior experience with our EMS and so forth. So we need to clear that up before we go forward with that agreement. The one I would like to put in that place there has to do with our school resource officers contract. You just received it, but it is exactly the same contract we had last year. We only received it this morning from the Board of Education. So, but the school is going to start, and there's no change at all to the contract from prior school resource officers contract. So I feel there's not too much question about it there. So anything else anybody like to add or subtract? Hearing nothing, all in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now Denise will read the minutes from our previous meeting.
County Fiscal Court convened at a regular meeting at 2 p.m. Executive David Vogel, Assistant County Attorney Tate Combs, and the following magistrates in attendance: Brent Likens, Wayne Tice, Kevin Woosley, Steve Greenwell, Chris Hound, Stephanie Hawkins, Bob Dye, and Michael Logston. Kevin Woosley, Magistrate District 3, received the oath of office. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to approve the agenda as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting minutes from June 29th, 2021 were read and approved 8-0-1, with Magistrate Woosley abstaining. Judge Vogel announced the following changes to fiscal court committees. Magistrate Woosley will be a member of Environment, Recycling, and Utilities, Human Resources, Grants and Technology, and Roads. Magistrate Hawkins will be switching from Human Resources, Grants and Technology to Economic Development. Magistrate Tice will be switching from Environment, Recycling, and Utilities to Public Safety and Jail. During public comment, County Clerk Julie Barr thanked Jerry Nart for getting the word out to the community regarding the shutdown of the computer systems during the statewide system conversion. She also announced the tax sale would be taking place on July 29, 2021 at 9 a.m. in the fiscal courtroom. She reported that tax bills can be paid to her office up until 9 p.m. on July 28, 2021, using one of the following payment methods: credit card, cash, wire transfer, or certified funds. Another option for individuals is to call the county attorney's office to set up a payment plan. Planning and Development Services Director Jim Urban made the announcement that there will be a special study review committee meeting in regards to solar panels in the solar industry on July 29, 2021 at 5 p.m. in the fiscal courtroom. Albert Harrison of 114 McMacken Manor, LaGrange, requested a revision of the minutes from June 15, 2021, when Mr. Harrison asked for an executive session to be added to the agenda. Judge Vogel responded he would confer with counsel on revising the minutes. Judge Vogel explained it would have taken a vote later in the meeting in order to enter into an executive session. The minutes from June 15, 2021 will be revised to reflect the clarification. Judge Vogel interpreted the request as a motion, therefore asked for a second. Having no second, the executive session was not added to the agenda. Oldham County Health Department Director Matt Rhodes presented information relating to the Public Health Taxing District fiscal year 2022 budget and presented the resolution of the Oldham County Board of Health establishing public health tax rate in the year of 2021 for Oldham County Public Health Taxing District, reflecting the tax rate will stay the same at 2.5%. Healy Valley Fire Protection District Board Chairman Joe Burkhart and Chief Bob Hamilton presented information related to the fiscal year 21-22 budget and to the ad valorem tax rates, which will stay at the same rate of 10 cents per $100 value on real personal property and 10 cents per $100 on motor vehicles watercraft. Chairman Burkhart and Chief Hamilton responded to questions from the court. The following sealed bids were opened and read aloud for the demolition of the dilapidated structure at 6533 Jacob Drive, Westport. BPM LLC Brian Adams, $44,650. CD LLC Walt Schum, $31,205. The bids were provided to Planning and Development Services Director Jim Urban for review and recommendation. The following sealed qualifications for construction management services of the new animal control facility were opened and read aloud. Encompass Develop Design and Construct LLC LaGrange, F.W. Owens Company Louisville, Lichtenfeld Inc. Louisville, Ware Constructors Inc. Louisville. These qualifications were provided to the Building Maintenance and Construction Committee for review and recommendation. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to authorize payment of the payables as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Helms to approve fund transfers in the amount of $650,000 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Helms to approve the court security budget transfer for Court Security Officers Department from Sheriff's Department in the amount of $247,130.54. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Waste Tire Grant Closeout Report for fiscal year 2021 with the $4,000 total amount of grant money received and $2,142 total unspent grant funds being returned to the Kentucky Energy and Environment Cabinet as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hawkins and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the contract for waste tire recycling with Liberty Tire Recycling for a flat rate of $2,000 plus 9.6% fuel surcharge, which will allow for safe storage of waste tires per KRS 224.50-880 at the recycling center and a Liberty semi-trailer parked in the maintenance lot beside the salt dome until such time the trailer is filled. Trailer capacity is 1,110 tires. As submitted, discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to award the bid for the demolition of the dilapidated structure at 6533 Jacob Drive, Westport, to BPM LLC in the amount of $44,650 as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to take a short recess beginning at 3:16 p.m. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Likens to resume the meeting at 3:40 p.m. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Greenwell to award the bid for the Parks and Recreation Department 1-ton diesel pickup truck to Champion Chevrolet for the 2022 Chevrolet Silverado 3500 HD in the amount of $43,887. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to award the bid for the Engineering Department pickup truck to Champion Chevrolet for the 2021 Chevrolet Colorado four-wheel drive extended cab in the amount of $24,992. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to award the bid for the coroner's SUV to John Jones Auto Group for the Durango Pursuit all-wheel drive in the amount of $35,967. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Dye to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Akita Box Master Software and Services Agreement renewal as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the courtroom camera system service contract with Wachter Inc. in the amount of $95 an hour as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Tice to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the Kentucky 22 Corridor Planning Study Agreement with the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet in the amount of $202,500 in federal SLO funds, with the required local match of $50,625 for a corridor planning study along Kentucky 22 between Hounds Lane and Kentucky 329, and the associated resolution. This corrected version specifies Kentucky 22 versus the original version, which specified US 22, presented at the fiscal court meeting on May 4th, 2021. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Dye to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the agreement with GRW Engineers, Inc. to complete the engineering work required for Oldham County water relocation for the Buckner Connector Commerce Parkway Extension Project in the amount of $59,585.20 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Tice and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the contract with Tetra Tech to create a master plan for Schambach Park with a not to exceed amount of $105,000 as submitted. Discussion followed. Magistrate Greenwell called for the question. A roll call vote was taken to end debate. Motion carried unanimously. A roll call vote was taken to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the contract with Tetra Tech to create a master plan for Schambach Park with a not to exceed amount of $105,000. Motion carried 8-1 with Magistrate Dye voting no. Magistrate Tice departed from the meeting at 4:58 p.m. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Woosley to authorize Judge Vogel to sign the confidentiality agreement with Charter Communications as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to authorize Judge Vogel to sign resolution number 01-07-20-21, a resolution to concur with the 2021-22 Rural Secondary Program provided by the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet for road maintenance in Oldham County as submitted. Discussion followed. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Likens to hire the following employees to the Road Department, effective 7/21/21 as submitted. Daniel Bolton, Equipment Operator 1 at $17 an hour. Tom Phillips, Equipment Operator 1 at $17 an hour. John Ford, Seasonal Operator going to full-time status as Equipment Operator 2 at $19 an hour. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Greenwell and seconded by Magistrate Hawkins to hire the following employees effective 7/21/2021 as submitted. Charlie Securities, first-year lifeguard, seasonal employee for Parks and Recreation at $8.59 an hour. Jeremiah Mulchler, Maintenance Assistance 1 for the Maintenance Department at $17 an hour. Brandon Nelson, part-time laborer for the Recycling Center at $20 an hour. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Hounds and seconded by Magistrate Logston to renew school resource officer contracts effective 8/1/2021 for the following officers: Joe Dennis, Greg Ford, Mike Head, Matt Lay, Jim Latham Jr., Thomas Moore, Larry Bo Simpson, Tracy Witt, and to enter into a new SRO contract with Paul Kerr effective 8/1/2021 as submitted. Motion carried unanimously. Motion made by Magistrate Dye and seconded by Magistrate Hounds to adjourn the meeting. Motion carried unanimously. The meeting adjourned at 5:13 p.m.
You've heard the reading of our minutes from July 20th. Is there a motion to?
It's one correction. Under public comment, it says 9 p.m. on July 28th to pay the bills. It should be 9 a.m. on the 28th.
Okay, thank you. Anything else? Magistrate Likens?
Yes, Judge. On this House, I think we awarded, according to the minutes, the contract to the highest bidder. We should have awarded it to the lowest bidder since we're paying that. Is that not correct? See, Magistrate Hound shaking his head.
Right.
It's the most responsive bidder.
Well, it was one that they would demolish the whole thing, whereas the other one didn't.
It was the most responsive bidder. Dollars and cents was secondary.
That. All right, anything else?
Motion to approve the minutes.
Second. All in favor, please say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Just for clarification like that, sometimes it's asked, and actually Woolsey's new and he didn't ask, but why do you go through reading all these minutes? I would go to a number of meetings where people just say, hey, approve the minutes, and bang, they're approved. I have no statistics to back me up, but I could guess at a number of those meetings, those board members didn't even read those minutes. Any mistake could easily slip on through. Maybe all of them did read them closely, but I suspect that they weren't. So we go through it here. We brought it up a number of times and over the years, and the court has always voted to read the minutes. So that's why we do. It's kind of crawling over broken glass maybe for people in the auditorium here to have to listen to that, but to make sure that 9 people see the minutes and that they're as correct as they possibly can be. So thank you for those corrections. I would like to remind our audience members here today too that all of our programs are showing live on YouTube now. So if you ever want to watch a fiscal court meeting, you just go to our Facebook page, and there's a link on, I don't mean Facebook, I mean our county website page. And there is a link on our website that will take you to the YouTube connection, or you can go right to YouTube if you can find it there without assistance. So we'd like to have our meetings live, and they are recorded and played back on YouTube as well. So we'll go on now to public comment, and our update from Matt Rhodes here on our COVID-19 and Delta variant situations in Oldham County. And welcome, Matt.
Thank you, Judge, and greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Do I need to do anything special here to get the, I guess it went to sleep? Okay.
It's a pretty long password.
I'm not the best type.
Got it right, I think.
I think so. I'm going to share some information with you, and I think that you all have known that I've never been an alarmist as it relates to the COVID outbreak, and never will be. Try to take a very practical and pragmatic approach to everything that I do in life, and share the facts with you all and the community at large as to guidance from the Public Health Department as it relates to this. And I've said, through many presentations here that I have good and or encouraging news. And this week I want to share that we have some information that's not alarming, but that is certainly interesting, and want everyone to be aware of what we're seeing with the current case counts and as it relates to the different variants that are circulating. So this first presentation, I will breeze through and touch on some of the highlights, and then the other more relevant information is just a Word document that I have that I'll share some relevant data and facts for you that are locally relevant. So 7,949, we have had 86 deaths with the mortality rate listed there and the case fatality rate at 1.1%. That's compared to Kentucky and the United States. And again, I want to say, as I've said before, we're nowhere near where we were back at the first of the year. You can see here in week 1 and 2 where our case counts were extremely high. But you can see, as we currently sit, we are seeing a trend, an upward trend as it relates to case counts. And the last week that's listed there is a little bit misleading because it only represents 3 days of the week. So I fully expect that we'll continue to see an upward trend with case counts in this coming week. Again, this looks at just from week 1, the start of the year, and you can see the high mark was in week 2. We saw about a 12-week occurrence where we had a downward trend in case counts, had a slight uptick around week 17. And then we saw a dramatic downturn in case counts where we all took a sort of a deep breath and thought we had seen the end of COVID. Unfortunately, that's not the case. And we'll talk more about that as it relates to the weeks here. But you can see a steady increase in weeks 28, 29, 30, and now going into week 31. As I said, I fully expect to see an increase in the cases this week. And this overlays year 2020 over 2021. The bar graph represents 2020. The line graph represents 2021. And again, this is a bit misleading because this only accounts for 2 or 3 days of this week. I fully expect to continue to see an upward trend in case counts with this smaller line. This looks at our total case status of our confirmed and probable cases. You all have seen that for many weeks. Again, this is the age distribution of our cases. We're starting to see more cases in our pediatric. Those are for individuals under 18 years of age. And I'll share some of my concerns as it relates to that as we move forward with this presentation. Our total case count, again, as distributed among sex, 4,900 males, 2,875 females. The average age of the cases is 41 years, with the range being from 12 days to 100 years of age.
Are you saying there by that basically 10% of the people in our county have had this? 7,900?
Sheer numbers, yes. And if you look at the unique factors of the COVID-19 cases in Oldham County, 230 have reported being a healthcare worker, 190 ever hospitalized, 71 in ICU, and recovered 7,588. Here's the death breakdown as it relates to COVID cases. Been 61 males and 25 females. Average age 73.3 years with a range between 39 and 99 years of age. The long-term care associated deaths stand at 36. Corrections associated deaths are 31 and community deaths are 19. And then this is the vaccination information as shared on the vaccination dashboard for the state of Kentucky. And we can, as you can see here, we're greater than 50% vaccinated according to this designation. And as I've shared before, this is about provider data. It references provider data. So it's the number of shots administered by providers that are in Oldham County. It doesn't accurately account for just Oldham County residents. That number still sits below 50% as we're looking at just residents. So I want to share the more relevant document here, information for data over the last 8 weeks. You can see back in week 23, and those are MMWR weeks, we were sitting down at 3 cases. We had one over 18, one between 12 and 17, and one below the age of 12. We've seen a dramatic increase in the case counts. If you're just looking at the sheer numbers, it's still relatively small. Again, it's not where we were back towards the first of the year. But the main thing of concern is that over this 8-week period, we've had 226 cases. And of those 226 cases, 63 have been pediatric cases. The majority of these cases have occurred in the last 4 weeks. The first 4 weeks of that 8-week period, we had 26 cases. The last 4 weeks, we've had 200 cases. So we're seeing a marked increase in cases. We're also seeing a marked increase in the number of pediatric cases. Those are individuals below the age of 18. Hospitalizations, within that same time period, we've had 9 hospitalizations. 1 was in a pediatric case. And the major factor of concern is as it relates to breakthrough cases. And you all might remember the breakthrough cases are for those individuals who have been fully vaccinated. What we've seen during this time period is that 51 or 22.5% of our cases have been breakthrough cases. And those are for individuals that have been fully vaccinated. So for that reason, as the public health director, I think the CDC guidance on universal masking is a sound guidance. And I think all institutions that allow public into those institutions should practice universal masking. I know there's a lot of argument around masking not being effective, and it's not perfect, but the only 2 interventions that we have at this point in time are vaccines and masking. So I would suggest that masking does help. It helps prevent the spread of the disease, and certainly vaccines help as well. But as we can see, the vaccine doesn't prevent you from getting the disease, but the spotlight that I think we really need to share here on vaccine is none of those individuals that were vaccinated have been hospitalized. Most of their cases are mild. and they resolve in a matter of days. So that is the silver lining. Vaccines do prevent hospitalizations and death. And if you get vaccinated, you can basically reduce your chances to zero of dying from COVID. So we still want to encourage vaccinations. We are thankfully seeing an increased interest in vaccinations. We administered almost 70 last week, where we were previously only getting about 10 or so per week. And we're also seeing an increased interest this week with the vaccine appointments. So I think, I've had a lot of feedback from individuals as it relates to the schools and requiring of masking. And I think that there should be universal masking in schools for both vaccinated and unvaccinated, but I think that should also apply across the board for the county. As it relates to where we are now, again, we're nowhere near where we were back towards the first of the year. So the question was asked before the meeting if I thought we were going back to lockdowns. I don't think we are. I don't think that we have to. I think that we do have good public health interventions in our vaccines and our masking. And largely, if we can get people vaccinated and prevent the spread or proliferation of the spread of this disease, then there will not be a need for any of those types of requirements. So for that, I'll answer questions.
Magistrate Likens.
Thank you, Matt. The breakthrough cases, are there any correlation between what kind of vaccine that people got and the breakthrough cases? Moderna, Pfizer?
Very good question. I haven't been able to drill down to that point, but I have asked my staff to get that information for me. We're hearing that the research indicates that Pfizer is not as effective against the Delta variant, but I haven't been able to drill down and get that explicit detail locally.
And I notice you have a mask on. Are you suggesting that maybe everyone in this room should have one on?
Be my recommendation based on where we are currently with the case counts increasing and knowing what the breakthrough status is. Again, that number, we probably don't have enough cases for it to be statistically significant, but at this point, we are seeing a definite trend that people who are vaccinated can also contract the virus. Yes, sir.
I'm looking at the CDC guidelines on masks issued in July. It says that vaccinated people should wear a mask indoor, in public, if you're in an area of substantial or high transmission. We're not in that area.
Yes, sir. You're right. Currently today, we aren't.
That's not what the CDC says. You should wear a mask. I just read it. It says high transmission.
Right.
We're not in a transmission.
Yes, sir. We're definitely headed in that direction, though. And for me personally, we've had some examples where there's been possible exposures to cases. So for that matter, I want to be protective of your all's health and make sure that I'm not transmitting anything to you potentially.
Magistrate Hounds.
So Matt, the data for the young people, the pediatric cases, I mean, that's a hard one because at that age, most of those people aren't eligible or are not, it's not recommended for them to get the vaccine. So it just makes logical sense that that number is going to continue to go up, right? Because of their now exposure to the variant.
So I think that is a very valid point that you make. The more virus that you have circulating through your community for that population that doesn't have the ability to get vaccinated, and because we've gone away from wearing masks, I think you're going to see that number go up. One of the things that we are seeing locally here where we didn't see before is that we're seeing transmission from kids to kids because we're seeing it in vacation Bible schools and overnight camps and things of that nature.
What about, is there any, I don't know, chance is the right word, but I mean, do you see the ability for that younger population to get a vaccine, or are we going to stay with the, whatever it is, 12 or 13 and over?
The 12 to 17 population is the only population that's been approved. I think the trials are ongoing for those younger individuals, but no literature has even been submitted for consideration at this point. So I would suggest that it's probably going to be towards the end of the year, if not into next year, before that would be.
And one more question. When we were talking about the trending earlier, and you've said this, and I can't remember. How many weeks up and then how many weeks down do we have to see before the trend is going in the right direction? I mean, obviously, by your graphs, we're going in the wrong direction, but I'm trying to be optimistic when this peaks. How many weeks down do we have to have before your comfort level goes back up to where Matt was before?
Very good question. It's typically 2 incubation periods, and those incubation periods represent 14 days. So you're talking about a 28-day period.
Thank you.
Magistrate Hawkins.
It's okay. For those that are vaccinated, the chances are of getting any symptoms is also lessened, I believe. So then the good thing about when you do have symptoms is then you know to stay away from elderly folks. And I happen to have a grandpa who's 99. So anytime that I would have symptoms, I would just know to stay away. So that could be just something to be aware of, is you could transmit it if you are vaccinated and cause, death or harm to somebody as a carrier and not even have any symptoms or be aware that you're, putting
That
something.
is a very valid point as well, and that is the challenging matter of the fact that we're dealing with, which public health, the central tenet of public health is prevention. And we want to try to prevent anyone from getting ill. So that's the reason that I would say my guidance and a recommendation would be for universal masking, just because we want to try to prevent the further spread. We're pretty good as a country to reacting to issues. We're not often very good at preventing issues from occurring. So this would be, it would be my guidance as a public health director to do that, to try to prevent, especially those that, might be immunocompromised or less resistant to stand up to the virus.
Magistrate Woosley.
That's my question is to you. Are you planning on any kind of directive for this building or any of the county buildings to protect our employees from the public?
I have to think about that. Can't give you an answer right now. I heard Matt's recommendation. I also know there's a tremendous amount of resistance in the public to this. The governor has suggested doing it. We've had other public officials who are refusing to do it at their office. It's mixed up in politics about, controlling people. School board, it's just a mess. And 2 weeks ago, Rand Paul was here. 3 weeks ago, he's a physician. Swore up and down the meeting out with that the mask does absolutely no good. Other than an N95 mask, he said they were just playing a game. So who do you believe on this? I don't know who to believe. I certainly don't want anybody to get it. But I think I just think that's something I have to consider more. I'm just not going to jump out there and put a sign up that you can't come to the building without masks. But we could put a sign up that says mask preferred, or please consider it. It's a Rubik's Cube of a problem. And we all know, I saw on a county, or not on a county, but on a Facebook page that a couple of people have ill children in the school system. They want everybody to wear masks. So there's a lot of resistance to those comments. People saying, homeschool your child. 12,000 kids shouldn't have to wear a mask because 30 kids in the system are impaired in some way. I don't know. This is a hot potato right now. So
It is, and it's a very nuanced issue, to your point. What I can commit to do is to continue to provide you with the data
right.
and the evidence, and then the decision can be made on.
I think it's primarily up to each individual. Can't control you in the parking lot or in your car or in your home or in the stores, but the stores start prohibiting people without masks, they're going to lose business. So they're backing up on that. There's a lot of places you can be exposed. So I frankly don't know exactly what to do here.
And I'm not trying to create a contentious situation here, but I feel like I would be remiss as the public health director if I didn't offer that.
I understand that you have to take the most progressive, conservative posture that you can. That's your job to do that, to warn the community. That's what public health does. and I appreciate that. I know you're trying to do that here today. As your Greenwell.
Matt, would it be safe to say that the Delta variant is considerably more contagious than the COVID, but not near as deadly either?
Well, I can't speak to the deadly, but all the evidence suggests very clearly that it's more highly transmissible and more virulent, creating people that are sicker and creating more sick young people.
Okay, but yet we've had this now on a rise for 4 weeks, and we haven't seen a significant death toll yet. But maybe the time hasn't. Maybe that's not enough time yet.
Typically, the death toll is delayed by several weeks, so we may see an increase in the death. Hopefully not. One of the things that we want to do is prevent the death, and that's one thing that we know the vaccines do. So we can continue to encourage vaccination rates to go up. We'll probably minimize and mitigate the number of people that die from the virus.
Thank you.
As you die.
And speaking of the variant, you've given us a lot of numbers over the past several months. Here again, I'm the guy that always looks at the glass half empty. There may be another variant coming down the road. I don't know. COVID, I think, was like the 19th. 19 means something. I don't know what it means. Something. But the variant, now they got a variant. I guess they're going to come up with a new word or something else pops up. But as far as ordering masks and mandates or lockouts, I don't think anyone can do that. I think the governor was stripped of that power, from my understanding, that he can't do it by his legislature. Well, that's why we went to this more of a suggestion, because I've been in more stores in the last few days. They're handing masks out. They're asking you to wear a mask. What do you say that the percentage of people in Oldham County people that live here, not your provider information, are vaccinated?
This just shy of 50% of Oldham County residents that are eligible for the vaccine.
Basically, what you're saying is about half people in this area may not be vaccinated.
Correct, according to the statistics, yes.
That's what the judge brought up the point, that it's up to an individual to decide they want to roll the dice on a 50-50.
I know I'm vaccinated, or my family is, but I've run into people that have a strong objection to it, and you're not going to turn them around until they get sick, I guess.
I have too. I certainly have. I've run into people that are opposed to the vaccine, and I try to inform them with the information that I have. But when people are ideologically opposed to issues, sometimes it's hard.
And of course, the word experimental, non-proven, it comes up in all conversations that this hasn't been proven to be effective. I mean, totally effective. And you're saying that today, the people who've had the vaccination are sliding backwards somehow.
Right. Yeah.
One guess here that back when I remember when I was a kid, the salt vaccine, polio, it actually visualized and see those was not doing it. But until it actually, this thing here, until it actually touches home.
Right.
Really.
Some of us are old enough here to remember what an iron lung is. Others don't know what that term means.
I did notice that you're in that one age group.
I know.
I could.
Right on target here with a couple others to be, casualty. So please.
I identified we're not in that group.
Right.
Just respond to Magistrate Dutt's comment about being a mandate. I'm not suggesting a mandate. I'm saying it's my recommendation.
Saying that at all. I'm just saying that, these things, you hear people use words and all of a sudden, no, I was not inferring that at all.
Thanks, Greenwell.
Judge, I looked up on the Google machine for what that's worth, what the vaccination rate was for the polio vaccine back in the late 50s, and it was 50% of the Americans. And I was surprised. I thought it would have been 78, 85, but it was 50%, just like it is right now. So
People.
Believers back then too.
Goes with it. Okay, then. Thank you, Matt. Appreciate you being here with the information and the advice. And we'll take that under consideration. Thank you very much. Next, anybody else like to address public comment here? Okay. Go ahead, Julie Barr.
Afternoon, Judge, Magistrates, Mr. Carter, and Denise. I think we all can agree that it has become extremely difficult for employers to find people to work. We've seen it everywhere, including the once highly coveted Oldham County employee jobs. This is why I'm asking you, along with LaGrange City Council, to stand with me in opposition to extending the compensation tax that the mayor has expressed his desire to continue, even though Ordinance Number 8, Series 2013, specifically states that it is to expire after the debt related to the Oldham Reserve property is paid in full. To date, my office has paid $39,000. $6,000 of that was from my salary, and I can absorb it better than my employees can. Today, we see people compensated for not returning to work and receiving other benefits related to the pandemic. It puts us in a very weak position of attracting folks to join our workforce. And of course, we all have our own individual opinion about if that's right or wrong. Why are we going to continue to tax the people that are showing up, working, doing the right things, trying to live out the American dream? The cost of living has skyrocketed. Within the last months, gas has reached $3.19 a gallon. A loaf of butternut bread is $2.59. A treated 2x4x10 is $7.98. Lunch for two at McDonald's cost almost $18. And childcare is downright frightening. Have you ever stopped to wonder how people make it? Well, I have, and it's not easy. So let's look at the wording of the ordinance that was passed. Section 14, page 9, use of compensation tax, the last line, used only to retire debt related to the Oldham Reserve property. We skip down to section 16. This ordinance shall cease to be effective, and all of the provisions herein will no longer be imposed, except for with respect to audit and or with respect to collection of unpaid taxes, interest, penalty, court costs, postage, expenses, and reasonable attorney and or paralegal fees as outlined in section 13, after the debt related to the Oldham Reserve property is paid in full. Then in July 22nd edition of the Oldham Mirror, the LaGrange mayor said that he did not plan to let the compensation tax of 1% tax on wages earned by any employee within the city limits of LaGrange sunset until it's intended to do when the tax was passed in 2013. He went on to say that nearly $11 million in debt the city went into for the project that has been reduced down to a payment of roughly $1.6 million. Black said continuing the tax amounts to a tough decision, but would be the right move for the city in his opinion. Those are his words. There was a time when a person's word meant something, and the ordinance puts people's words and intention into written form. I realize the city would love to have a significant amount of money in its coffers, but so would all those working families that are paying for the pleasure of working in the city of LaGrange. We are taxing our citizens almost to the breaking point. And when my employees, your employees, and all employees that work in the city of LaGrange realize the benefit of staying at home, what will we do then? What will the businesses that are already struggling to find people to work do? Please stand with me in protecting the people that work for us and other businesses in the city of LaGrange. After all, this is the United States of America, and we need to start acting like it.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else like to address public comment here today? Buckler?
Hello, Fiscal Court. I've decided that I would do public comment instead of a whole full-on presentation. We, as a commission, have made the decision in our June meeting that it would be beneficial for me to come and present to you all a little something about every quarter. So you know what tourism is up to, because there is a lag in information. So the packet that you have, the white envelope you have, you don't have to open it and go through it. I'll tell you what's in it. I gave it to you so you could take it home and look at it at your leisure. But this is just a couple of announcements and things over the last couple months. Hopefully you've been seeing all of the PR we've had on the news in the last 2 months about farm tours and about our new Chestnut Hall farm and about our hometown tourist program. We've gotten a lot of good press over the last probably 6 weeks. Just a couple bullet points. We've got a booth at the state fair this year. The fair is the August 19th to the 29th. And tourism has that booth in Pride of the Counties. We haven't had that for a couple years because we couldn't find people to help man the booth. And I can tell you 12 days, 12-hour shifts in 10 days is a lot for one person. Tourism will pay admission and parking to anybody who helps at the state fair, 4-hour shifts. I'll be glad. I have an ongoing sign-up form if anybody is interested in that. This, by the way, these notes, everything I'm saying is in your packet. So any help would be appreciated. The booth will be put up. The information will be in the booth. We just need bodies to help. And as of to Matt's point earlier, Saturday afternoon, we got word that masks were going to be mandated at the state fair in our booths. So anybody who helps will have to wear a mask. But the good thing is, the positive of working at the fair booth is we give you admission, we give you parking, and then what you do after your 4-hour shift when you're in there is up to you. It's for the whole day. The hometown tourist program that we did last year, we decided to repeat it again this year. So as of yesterday, you'll see this in your packet. This is our passport. It has 20 attractions on it from across the county, and you'll see we have a really good representation of all 6 cities in the county. And each one of these attractions gives something free to everybody who comes in, a little trinket. And then once they fill this whole passport and get it stamped, we as tourism have T-shirts. We give them hometown tourist T-shirts from tourism. And also in your packet, we just got these on Friday. There were a lot of changes. So we have new brochures. We had them reprinted, just got them on Friday. So our farm tour brochure and our bourbon horses, trains brochure. So each one of you have 5 brochures of each one of these in your packet. So you can go through that and see all the awesome things we have going on. I don't know if the whole fiscal court knows about it, but I have asked for a tourism shuttle, either with COVID money or aside from COVID money to help us grow tourism. One of the biggest requests we get are for packets. People do, which we do have packages on the website, but they're looking for transportation. So we can take them to the distillery and they don't have to worry about after they're tasting driving or doing open range sports and the distillery or the brewery when they come into town. We as tourism want to be able to sell tickets and packages, pre-sale packages for that. Get it wrapped and also let other people in the community use it. So when the chamber does their day where they go around and visit organizations in the state at government, they would be able to use it. County government would be able to use it. The Oldham County History Center would be able to use it when they take their people around the county or they take people on trips for history, especially for Underground Railroad. So we're asking for that, whoever needs to hear that. And hoping that the EDA money will cover that. There are very specific bullet points for travel and tourism in county funds that we'll get. So that would be lovely if you all could help with that. And I'm working on that with the committee. So everybody has 20 or 5 copies of the passport in your packet. So feel free to hand those out. Has instructions. That's it. That's my update for this time.
Good. You're just under 5 minutes here, and that's what our limit
That's good for me.
is on public comment. All right. Good. All right, Kim. Thank you. We'll consider these are nice brochures you put together. Hope everybody look at them. I think our tourism brochures are some of the best you'll find anywhere. They're really well done, and appreciate the effort you're making. And we will put out our digital signs. In fact, you're looking for volunteers to work at the fair booth. And what phone number can people contact you through? All right. We'll put that on there as well. And see if anybody would like to volunteer to work at a booth, contact you. Okay. Thank you. Next item on the agenda today has to do with a presentation from our North Oldham Fire District. And Chief Brown is here today to bring us up to date on the success of North Oldham.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's thanks for having me here, and good to see your faces for the time being. Anyway, we'll see
Right, yeah,
right. My name's Hewitt Brown, Chief of North Oldham Fire Department. I've been chief about 3 years now, and I think the first thing I want to say about our district in particular is we're super fortunate. It's a relatively small district, but fiscally, we have quite a bit of tax income, and that's a real privilege. And when I work with the board, the thing we always try to think about is, getting this tax money, how can we find that balance being fiscally responsible and also providing adequate fire protection and first response? And so I'm just going to spend a little bit of time talking about what we think we're doing that. Currently, after the last financial year and going to the new one, we're keeping the tax rate at 9 cents on 100. That's across the board. And again, a lot of our ability to be flexible with our staffing is because of that income that we're fortunate to have in our specific district relative to its size. Along with that, our intention is in the next 10 years, which is about as far as I'm willing to look at my future in there. The idea would be, with the exception of our building, which we have a pretty significant bond on from a while back, to remain debt-free, which we are completely debt-free right now. We have in the last 6 years put about $20,000 away a month to the capital reserve fund. And then the idea would be going forward, we'd be buying new trucks and apparatus and that kind of stuff out of that funding. It sits at about $200,000 right now. There's a few changes in that coming up because, as you'll see here, if you're looking at our report, we are increasing staffing a little bit. So we're going to cut that about in half for the next probably 2 years. And then slowly, I think, see that drift back to about 25,000. That is provided the world goes the way we want it to. And we sort of see this slow, incremental, but very steady increase in our tax revenue due to the growth of our district. So I think one of the keys to our success is the fact that we are in a growing district. So we're able to keep increasing that revenue and increase our staffing without having to make currently changes in our tax. So I think that brings me to a little bit of the changes. Well, last year, the other thing that oddly enough was kind of fortunate, and we had a little bit of a windfall in our budgeting, is that COVID affected our staffing, but in a way that I think nobody would expect it to. And the problem we had was that we were pretty much chronically understaffed for the whole time because we were constantly doing this game of, this person's been exposed, this person's sick, so we're running short on staffing. And what that did is significantly decrease our personnel budget, right? And so I think when we looked at it initially, we're like, where'd all this money come from? Turns out it's from a really bad reason. And so that, with the increased staffing, we've added a third person at our Skylight station. So currently, going forward, starting last month, we'll be running 2 full-time staffed companies, right, of 3 people each. So that'll increase our staffing costs some, and then also we would anticipate those normal levels of staffing. So things will be a little bit tighter, sort of on budget, I would say, next year. But I think it's a really good move for this department, and we're able to handle that financially because, in the 3 years that I've been here, I've seen that need for the kind of staffing levels we want, and specifically in the Skylight area, albeit a pretty low population. the kind of incidents, specifically structure fires we see out there are pretty manpower intensive, right? So there's low water resources, there's poor water pressure out there. We're far from mutual aid help. And so having two companies that can get there quickly has just proved essential for us. So that cuts into things a little bit, but we find that a staffing change is pretty essential. Right. So that's sort of where we're looking staffing wise and also on the financial side of things. The other thing we're fortunate to have is another source of revenue. We own the cell tower. So if you guys know where the Oldham County High School complex, middle school complex is, there's a cell tower that sits behind our old station there. We own that. We're fortunate enough to get about currently $80,000 of revenue from that. Just done some modification to that, so it's going to raise those revenues a little bit. So again, another real fortunate outlet for us at Norfolk. And those repairs and changes to upgrade that tower should be done here in the next month, 2 months, depending on how fast contractors work, which can vary. And then the other thing that my chairman's also asked us to mention is that we're really starting to push as much as we can, because of the current situation, community outreach again. We do a lot of CPR classes. We travel to do them, so we'll go to churches and schools and folks that need that kind of stuff. And also we have a monthly one at our firehouse. So second Tuesday of every month in the evening, we have a free CPR class that's open to the public. And if anybody's ever interested, we're always kind of pushing that. It's on our website. You can go in there, sign up, and come out and have a CPR class. So we're trying to use that as an outlet, one, to get people trained in CPR, because that's always a good thing. But two, make sure people know their fire department, because we're kind of just these strangers that show up in red trucks in the middle of the night. And we like people to be in the firehouse as much as we can and see what's going on there. So just to wrap up, I'm use this as a little bit of my own public comment. I won't get too political on this, but I do think that, what I've been emphasizing here is the growth of our district. And I think that's true for fire departments throughout Oldham County. Our districts are growing. There's quite a bit of development. And, we're pushing to keep up with those challenges and be fiscally responsible as well. One of the things that I know we're all struggling with, and it's actually going to be addressed a little bit here later on in the agenda, is water supply within the county. Whether it's Louisville water, Oldham County water, the development is always a little bit ahead, or sometimes in some cases a lot ahead of the infrastructure. For a lot of people, that might be roads, that might mean different things like that. For us, in the fire department side of things, it means water pressure, because it really affects our ability to fight fire. And so what I'd ask you guys to think about moving forward to this next year, when there might be some funding possibilities for some of this stuff coming up, is to bear in mind that, that side of development is pretty key. And, I've been talking a lot to our partners on both water companies that we work with, Louisville and Oldham County, to push that forward. But just bear that in mind when you guys are talking about funding opportunities and stuff, because I'd say countywide, that is probably the biggest challenge, whether it's two paid companies or a lot of volunteer companies, whatever the type of fire department you run. Our biggest challenge is how we're going to bring that water to put your house out and get that water there as quickly.
All right. Well, you've provided the perfect rationale for something we've got coming up later here. I appreciate that. Hazard Howard.
I don't know how many people know this, but I want to say it's been very nice to work with you on this tower project. For most of the court may not remember, maybe you do, but we put in the ring system for dispatch to help increase the ability for the firefighters to receive the pages. And we started on this project and we went to have this conversation. We're going to take down two pieces of equipment, put two pieces of equipment up, and Chief says, you can't do that. I mean, we can't do that. And it spurred this whole thing, and we had to do a workaround, which is working. But we're going to hopefully complete the project in the next, I'm going to say 60 to 90 days. Let's put a little time. But I really do commend you, because when we started this project, you jumped on and said, okay, let's figure this out. Let's fix it. And that was very nice. I mean, I appreciate that a lot. The county should appreciate it a lot, because in order to complete the project, we had to have use of your tower. Project wouldn't have been able to be successful without it. So thank you for that.
it's interesting the stuff you get yourself into. You think you're taking a job that's about firefighting in the fire service, and you end up learning a whole lot more about structural capacity of cell towers than you ever thought you would.
Right. Measure die.
Thank you, Chief, for coming today. Is your district totally in Oldham County?
Yeah, so we go just to the county line, there, Jefferson County on here.
Said that you weren't going to go too many years on what your career moves were.
I'm just saying when I was making a joke mostly, but you know, when we look at our outlook, we're looking 10 years out. And so we've got apparatus purchasing plans and station repair plans and all that stuff about 10 years out. And our real plan there is that we want to do that without having to finance it. We want to pay for it with our income and our cash reserves.
For everyone, you know.
I like it. Now, you know, things happen, but that is our intention.
So, just out of curiosity, is possible merger with any other departments in your future? I'm not asking you to answer the question today. I'm just saying you.
I'll be honest. I think that it's good to have those discussions, but that is a can of worms that I'm not willing to pry open right now. But I think that it makes sense for, especially at the sort of executive officer, the chief's level, for people to start looking at, you know, how these districts fit together. I do agree with that.
Tough question is, I've got people paying to tax EMS. One to Middletown, Anchorage, one to Oldham County EMS. I just want to make sure that I advise you that if you do these things, try not to put that people in your district under the same yoke that they're under in my district.
I don't have the capacity to do that. Not within state law for me to do it, and I'm not planning on starting any whatsoever. So it'll be the one thing. I hear you.
Thank you.
I'd like to, don't see any other hands going up here, compliment North Oldham. I think it's an extremely efficiently run department. You don't have some of the, you have residential base, and probably that's what your future is as well. I don't see too much commercial activity in that area, but you're 9 cents a thousand or 100, so that's a very aggressive department and very well run, and so congratulate you and Randy Shear and the other board members. We just lost one board member, so sorry to see Tom leave, but we're doing a good job. Now, please, I'm going to mention here a little bit later about our emergency services appreciation picnic, August 22nd. If you have a chance, could you go back to my office and tell someone back there who it was that ran the barbecue at your house last year or the year before? We might be looking for a couple extra people to run grills down there, and maybe that person might be able to help us out as well. So,
Sure.
right.
Yep. All right.
Thank you so much for being here today.
Have a good afternoon.
Bye. Next item on our agenda are the payables. Haven't quite gotten to 3:30 yet, management time, so you like taking a break in an hour and a half.
Hoping that you can wind this up, Judge. I'm depending on you.
We'll keep moving here. All right. I think it's time to pay the bills here.
Motion to make the
We
payables.
pay the bills.
Any discussion on anything in there? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. The next item I put on here, I added at the beginning to just ask for your agreement to sign the school resource officer contract. As I mentioned, there was no change in the contract. Actually, at the last meeting, we agreed to go forward with the school resource officer program. No changes in this contract. I probably didn't need to actually bring it back since it had already been approved. But it came in today, and I thought, well, I better bring this up because school's going to start. And so, anyways, I'd like a motion to sign that contract. Discussion on it, Mr. Greenwell.
Judge, with the exact same contract in our last packet because we hired an additional officer? Okay.
And it may have been, we may have a slight hour difference in this one on a couple of people. Is that correct, Chief? Yeah, reporting time is just slightly different. Thanks, your hounds.
Would it make sense to, and maybe we probably can't do it today, but probably ask Mr. Carter, we could put language in here that we don't have to renew this contract every year, or are we renewing the contract because we have a new superintendent?
I think it's up to the school board whether or not they want to go year by year. Not up to us.
Put a clause in there that says, you know, same thing we put in other contracts. Both parties have 30 days notification from whatever date to express their intentions. I just trying to reduce the amount of work that we.
I appreciate that.
I know you don't have enough to do, right?
All I can eat, then some. So,
Yeah.
Okay. Chief got a comment on that.
Contract you're looking at is the exact same one from last year and year before that. The only difference is they changed reporting time for elementary schools. This is a contract that the Board of Education brings to Fiscal Court, Oldham County, for approval. There are caveats in there where either party can back out. Basically, we agreed to 9 officers at $32 an hour. We agreed it's an 8-hour day, 40 hours per week is what the school board will pay. It's also spelled out in the contract that they are law enforcement officers. They work for Oldham County Police or Fiscal Court, not the Board of Education. Basically, there are some training and professional standards requirements which we maintain for the officers. And there's a replacement policy, replacement calls in case one SRO doesn't live up to their standards, then we'll replace that SRO. Basically, it's the same contract. I will say this, that we have an extremely good working relationship with the school board and the schools. Met with Dr. Radford last week. All the principals via him were very positive of our SRO, so it's a good program. Basically, the same contract, but it's contract from the board of Education to us. Only thing added to them would have to come through their legal advice.
Okay. Mr. Greenwell.
Does the city of LaGrange still provide an officer for LaGrange Elementary?
They provide partial payment.
Okay.
For 2 SROs actually. One for one for Oldham High School, and then I forget the one on the other side of the railroad tracks.
Crestwood?
No, like your Crestwood Elementary. That one. Yeah, they provide $16,000 per year. For their part of the SRO programs in Crestwood.
City of LaGrange.
Did you say LaGrange?
Yeah.
I'm advanced. I'm at Crestwood. LaGrange has their own. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Their own contract. Apologize. They got a 1-track line.
Hawkins.
I didn't see a cover letter with the approval from our attorney. Should we get that before we approve this?
Approved. It's approved. Okay. Any other questions about this? We've already approved doing this. So it's just a little bit redundant, but the hours are slightly different. So, all right. Hearing no further questions, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Chief, before you leave, the question that comes up frequently is traffic around schools. Why can or should not school resource officers be involved in traffic direction?
Really, they're there for law enforcement purposes. The traffic occurs when the students are coming to the schools and leaving the schools. That's the time that most of the school population is entering and exiting the schools. In order to provide protection for them, that officer needs to be present when those students are coming and leaving. And we discussed that with the Board of Education. They agreed with that. The traffic is not part of their responsibility. The responsibility is security and safety of those children and students while they are on the property. That's their primary focus. If we pulled them out to do traffic, be vulnerable to beginning the end of the schools.
All right.
The parents like seeing them out there. They like the greeting in the morning and greet them in the afternoon.
They do. It's been well received. Well received. I haven't heard a single complaint since we've done it. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it. Next item on our agenda here has to do with the memorandum of understanding with Louisville Water Company. That item C here, and did take this to the utility committee this morning, and I believe they've endorsed this memorandum.
Make the motion that we allow the judge to sign the memorandum of understanding for South Highway 1694 extension funding sources, which is an MOU in agreement or in partnership with the Louisville Water Company and Oldham County Fiscal Court.
Second.
I moved and seconded that we enter this memorandum of understanding with Louisville Water Company. They will extend the water out to the intersection of 390, 329, and 1694. The funds for this would come from two sources. One from Kentucky Senate Bill 36, which is a clean water funding program, and then the balance would come from ARPA funds that we received from the Treasury, and we've applied for those ARPA funds. Expect them to be here in a few days. So, Magistrate Hawkins.
Two questions, Judge. I guess, is this both for drinking water and for fire suppression?
That's same water. It's just drinking water, but I assume that.
I mean, that's what I mean, if they're going to run the water line, we need to make sure that we're to Chief Brown.
See what you're saying.
Let's not run a 4-inch water
Oh,
line.
they're not going to run. That's going to cover both.
And I guess then my next question is, who comes up with the priorities for these projects?
These priorities were established by the Oldham County Water Council. The Oldham County Water Council is a group made up of those in Oldham County that deal with water. That would be Oldham County Water Company, LaGrange Utilities, Louisville Water, and MSD. And that's organized and run through, through KIPTA. And I think Russ Rose is the chairman right now. I've been the chairman of this in the past. We met there was a total of 2.1 million allocated by the state for Oldham County. The Oldham County Water Council met, and among the members of the council agreed to divide up that 2.1 million based on the percentage of population served by each entity in the county. So Louisville Water is getting about 40% of what we have here to extend this water line, and then it needs another 560,000 to actually complete the project. So the Louisville Water portion is coming from Senate Bill 36, and the Oldham County portion would be coming from our American Recovery Funds, which are designated for water services. There are two places in the county right now that do not have water service. This is one. The other is Rose Island Road up to Goshen Lane. There are more people living on this road than there are the other one. So the Water Council voted to make this the priority. Magistrate Donnie.
Yes. It might want to be noted that this is for potable, drinking water only. There's no sewer.
No, this is not sewer. Is not involved here. This is water
Component.
service. Yeah.
Because when you mention the sewer district, then your mind may go there.
Well, they're one of the people that had to agree to how we were going to split up the money among the agencies in the county. There is an allocation for water and sewer, which I don't have here in front of me. But MSD is getting some money, as is Oldham County Sewer District. There.
Get out.
Mr. Greenwell.
Judge, I guess there's some truth to the old adage, you learn something new every day, but I've been doing this for 18 and a half years, and this is the first I've heard of the Oldham County Water Council.
Yeah. Well, it's a KIPTA coordinated board. It's the Kentucky Infrastructure Authority through the Department of Local Government coordinates these funds, and it goes through KIPTA. And you probably hadn't heard of it before because county judge serves on that committee along with people from these other agencies. So, and it's let's say I don't want to say uneventful, but we'll say not that interesting subject matter.
That you must serve pretty quietly.
Right. It kind of meetings come and go.
Gotcha.
One of those black op things they got running over there, you know.
Tyson.
When it says it extends it from where to where?
Jefferson down there, Jefferson County line out to
County line, dude.
329.
Judge, I may add, you mentioned it takes care of one of the two underserved portions of Oldham County, but it also allows us to loop in that section around Brownsboro. So if there's an outage out there, or a line that's damaged, we could still serve water out there. Those folks won't.
Right. It provides a redundant source as well. And again, this is basically at no expense to Oldham County taxpayers, other than if you some money coming from the state, and the rest is coming from ARPA. Any further questions on this? All right, hearing none, all in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. And they'll be back with a formal reimbursement or formal agreement later, but this to get the ball rolling, ask for this agreement of understanding. Next item is road committee recommendations, and that would be Mr. Silverman.
Good afternoon. The current Google imagery, see that without too much reflection, takes the project sites there really well. You can see the disturb limits on this map. What I'm speaking about is the Carden Farm roadway. It's an entrance to the Crestwood Commons apartments that are currently under construction. The construction as depicted on the improved plans is complete, and based on our inspection of the project, I request and recommend the fiscal court approve the release of the erosion control bond for this project in the amount of $70,395. The recommendation was approved by Road Committee and comes with the concurrence of the City of Crestwood engineer.
Mr. Greenwell.
Judge, the road committee did meet today, and we voted to recommend the release of the erosion control bond in the amount of $70,395 be approved. I'll make that motion.
Your second?
Second.
Moved and seconded, this road bond be released. Any further discussion? Magistrate Hawkins?
If there is more that needs to be done with it, and I may have misunderstood this when I was listening, is there something that you have in writing that indicates that they will finish the portion?
This project, all it built was the roadway to access the apartments. I think there's intent to further develop around it. So likely there will be more construction. It'll have to be approved through our office for that. Right now, the roadway itself is not planned to become a county road. So if at some point they were to decide to try and have the county take this in, we would have to go back and address any other issues. The road.
Be a private road or a driveway or neither?
Private road. There's an access easement for the apartments.
Will they have a road to access the apartments eventually?
This is it. This is it, and there's an easement allowing them to use it. It's in the city of Crestwood. That's why I contacted.
It's not.
Thank you.
Measure Tice.
Curiosity, and you may have said it and I missed it. The Crestwood Apartments, I know what they are there. What's this front part? Is that just a subdivision or is it
Storage.
The buildings you see there are storage units and some
Got that.
commercial. The other area around it has not been developed yet, and there's no plans in our office to develop it yet.
so the Crestwood Apartments go all the way that
Crestwood
whole
Apartments
distance?
are going to be back here,
Well, what's up on the front part there? Yeah, right there.
just the roadway. It's that's
Cleared
it's
enough.
exposed. It's just exposed dirt from construction at that time.
And more was happening. Thank you.
All right, seeing no further questions, that we've had a motion and a second here. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Carries. Thank you. Next item, personnel actions.
Good afternoon. Before you all this afternoon is a new hire for the road department. Equipment operator 2, Matt Jones, $19 an hour, effective on August 9th.
Judge, I'll make a motion that we hire Matt Jones.
All in favor, please say aye.
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 Carries. Thank you. We also have a resignation here. We'll announce Kevin Alexander is leaving in a week or two, about a week or so. Probably on his own, right? He did, as concerns that need his attention elsewhere, I guess. So we thank him for working with us and wish him luck. We are looking. Did you bring in what you asked you to print out? Okay, let's pass those out to everybody, and I'll go through it in a second here. We are looking for a couple more employees. The circumstance with people getting unemployment and different checks is such that I talked to the State Highway Department, the maintenance director for this region this morning, and I might have misunderstood something, but I got the general point is that he only has on KYTC for Oldham County only has 4 or 5 employees. Others have retired, left. I mean, when we ask people to get work done, he had very few people to do the work. And, so,
Beeman, you said he had a crew of 4 where he normally has a crew of 12.
right, 4. So I was right on that number. Yeah, that's tough. I mean, we're staying a little bit above that. We're actually a better payer than the state, but still, we need employees. So if you know someone who wants to work, please refer them to us. We're very happy to talk to them. And we have a couple other departments that are 1 or 2 people down. So we're struggling a lot. A lot of people are getting more money at staying home than they could work, and it's not right. I mean, it's just it's very harmful to the country and our county too. All right, we're back to our second public comment. Did anybody come in who wanted to address the fiscal court? You see representatives here of Metro United Way, maybe, and the Red Cross. We welcome you to our meeting today. Thank you for what you're doing to help the less fortunate and disadvantaged in our community. I know you work with people every day, and we're appreciative of that. Thank you very much for the efforts that you make.
Erica?
Got Erica, right, and Margaret back there. Yeah. Thank you. All right, we're back to our.
You mean you did not recognize Erica from all those times on the Zoom meetings?
I thought I did, but yeah. You in person?
Yeah, she treats you, Erica.
No. We became friends through that committee. That was great working with you all.
Public comment time. Magistrate Likens, do you have anything you'd like to add today?
I just wanted to say we had our public meeting for the Harmony Lake, and we did come up with a consensus to go with the Plan 2, which essentially calls for the removal of 3 houses below the. It will take the high hazard classification away from it, and it's unfortunate that we have to do this, but we're mandated by the Division of Water to do it. So just wanted to give everyone an update on that situation.
All right, so I believe that process will be that the Oldham County Environmental Authority Board will vote on, if they haven't had a meeting, we just had that meeting last week, so they'll have a meeting to recommend that these houses be removed, and that will remove the high hazard classification from the dam and Harmony Lake. A recommendation will go to the State Division of Water, And we fully expect it to be approved there because the Division of Water has already been forewarned and agreed to that solution. Then OSEA will enter into an agreement with 3 property owners. 2 houses definitely need to be purchased. 1 house may be able to be mitigated with a wall of some kind that may not have to be purchased. The sewer district has $1.3 million in its budget to do this. If the property owners that I met with the other night seemed, let's say, resigned to the situation, and if they accept the offers, they can go forward. If they don't accept the offers, then it's going to have to come back here to us to condemn the property. But it's the only viable option there to solve it, and the fewest people are damaged, and the environment will go on, and the area will stay intact. So I appreciate the cooperation that the homeowners expressed. One person hasn't even moved into his house; he just bought it in the last 30 days. So that's an issue that'll have to go back to the real estate agents and previous owner, for sure, because he didn't know he's buying a property in below a high hazard dam. So that's for them to solve, not to us. But pardon?
Good thing he's got E&O insurance.
Right, that's a sticky wicket that we're not going to get into. But
the real estate agent.
I don't know. Yeah,
Insurance is going to kick in.
Somebody, the saying that buyer beware is not without foundation. There was a time in LaGrange when a road was going to go through Matting. What is that road down there in the comes up out of right across from Allen Lane and goes into past those condominiums there? Springhouse. About 10, 12 years ago, Springhouse or 14 was going to actually go all the way over to 53, and it never has happened, but it was planned to happen. And somebody was down there telling people that 18-wheel trucks are going to be going through there and so forth. And I went down and asked a real estate agent about a house on Springhouse, and I kind of held it out there. Is anything ever going to happen here or this road? Or didn't tell me a word about it. That subject never came up. So I know we've got 2 real estate agents on the fiscal court here, and I know they do everything in their power to alert any buyer to any potential hazard. You just don't gloss over them. Hope that they never come up, I guess. But
another story like that was that when I moved into Glen Oaks, they were talking about connecting Hounds Lane with Rock Line. That was a story then. It's 20 years ago.
I know. Some things are planned that never happen, but sometimes they do. Likens.
One other thing, this is probably the last major item that the Oldham County Environmental Authority had to deal with, and they plan on dissolving after this is settled. And Oldham County Fiscal Court will own this lake. We have to maintain it for perpetuity.
Or find somebody that will get over.
Judge.
Thank you. Okay, Magistrate Tice.
Nothing today. Thank you, Judge.
Magistrate Wood. Magistrate Greenwell.
Yes, Judge. Oldham County Schools open Wednesday, August the 11th, and we won't have another meeting before then. So everybody get ready for school starting back because it's here.
Okay. I'll ask you a Magistrate Woosley question here. You don't wear a mask on your butt?
We are mandated to do that, yes.
All right. Magistrate House.
Thanks, Judge. If you haven't noticed, your grass has probably slowed down growing because of the lack of rain. I think we got quote unquote measurable amount of rain, which was more like a drizzle on Saturday or Sunday, but it is pretty dry. I don't remember seeing any significant rainfall for the next 7 days. Just be careful out there with what you're doing. If you're on to Magistrate Greenwell's comment, it seems like people want to have cookouts or bonfires or whatever prior to school starting. Just ask you to be very careful of that. Don't need to come out and see you for that event. Thank you.
Ms. Hawkins.
Environmental Recycling and Utilities Committee meeting met today, and I just wanted to give a little update about what we're doing there. Our solid waste coordinator, Becky Zockline, has started a subcommittee, which she asked me to be on, being the chair of this committee, and it's a 5-year solid waste management plan because our current plan expires in 2022. So there's going to be a committee that will also involve a couple of citizens from the community and a few other people, if anyone's interested in that committee, where we come up with the next 5-year solid waste management plan for the county. And I also wanted to tell the rest of Fiscal Court that one of the recycling grants that we applied for, that we allowed the judge to sign and Becky applied for, allowed us to get a new baler for the recycling center, a couple of open top dumpsters, and a couple of, or I think it's 3 she called them self dumping hoppers. So some of these grants that we apply for are coming to fruition through some tangible things that have been needed at the recycling center. So as we recycle and go there, we can check those things out. And then we're also going to have, as a committee, a tour to meet Russ, who's there, meet a newer fellow, Brandon, and see some of these things. That will be October 6th, tentatively, around noon, if anybody else from the court would like to go tour the recycling center and learn more about what they do there. That's all I have.
Thank you. Measure die.
Today, Judge.
Magistrate Logston there. Yeah, right. Sure. We passed out a brochure here to everyone. I just want to go through this briefly. We're planning an appreciation day on August 22nd. That's a Sunday at Wendell Moore Park from 1 to 5 p.m. Appreciation for all our emergency responders in Oldham County. This is an emergency responder appreciation picnic, and we're going to close the park that day to all other visitors, but we are hoping to have 4 to 5, maybe even 600 emergency responders, their families, their children to enjoy the pool. We'll have all kinds of free food, pizza, hot dogs, scabos, brats, potato salad, maybe fried pork chops, cotton candy, everything we can come up with. McDonald's today agreed to give me 2,000 cookies to give out there, so I thank them for that. Door prizes. We're going to have a real nice day to thank our people who respond in emergencies in our county, and we are very appreciative. We need these people. They do a good job. They are out there for us 24/7. So we're going to take one day, and this is basically an organization funded, or operation. We're going to be funded mostly by the Rogers Group, significantly. They had a fundraiser, and most of the fundraiser money is going to go for the Oldham County Emergency Drone Team. We have a hazmat team, but we'll also have a drone team that we've purchased the 2 drones. They're about $13,000 or $14,000 worth. They're not the type you get at Costco. They're expensive. They have spotlights on them. They have ability to pick up infrared, heat off the ground, sensitive things. They'll be shared between the fire departments and our police departments. Maybe planning and zoning might get out there and fly it some. Ryan Baker, who is assistant chief at Ballersville, is a pilot for Allegiant Airlines. He's going to lead the training courses on this. And I'm sorry, Major Don, I know I went over 5 minutes here. Sorry about that. Forgot that. But anyway, we're excited about having this drone. We're going to have a trailer. The trailer is getting wrapped. It'll say emergency or Oldham County drone team on it. Got a great picture of a drone on there and our different units. And so all this is going to be a lot of fun. I hope all of you will come out that day. All magistrates and families are invited to come out and be part of the day and express their appreciation to the emergency responders. And so you'll be hearing more about this between now and then. And as mentioned, you know, I'm going to be upset if it pours between 1 and 5 on August 22nd, you know, but that's the risk you have to take if you go outside, I guess. But, and, you know, we're going to have a lot of parking at Oldham County schools. City of LaGrange will provide their bus to help bus people back and forth because we'll have a lot more traffic than we can actually park on one of the more grounds. So, and please get your cornhole team together. We want the fire departments, police department, I want people challenging each other. Our Parks and Rec, they're coming up with some challenging games and things to do there. So please encourage all of your people, Chief, to come. With that, is there a motion to adjourn? All right, then I'm going to ask the clerk to not note that Magistrate Dye left the meeting at 3:35. We're adjourned.